I don't even know where to begin. You know, Tory civil war, it is in full swing. Um, by the way, John Redwood has done a piece on what went wrong. Don't worry, we'll be covering that very soon. Um, you've had a number of pieces of what went wrong. None of them have actually really identified really what went wrong for the Tories because, well, they can't be honest with themselves. They can't actually give any serious introspection. Even though yesterday we had uh, Kemi Badnoch when she came out and went, I'm going to rip into Rishi Sunak very openly, very publicly. And then that was mysteriously leaked, out to the press, out to the public. Gee, wonder who leaked that. One of the things that she said was that we need to have, well, at least James cleverly said in sort of responding to that, we can't have this infighting, which leads me to believe he might have been the one who leaked it. We need to have a serious contest and have a good post-mortem look at what went wrong and why did we lose so badly. They ain't gonna do that. We've seen from all these things, even John Redwood tomorrow, they cannot be honest because they are either obsessed. Well, we lost because of immigration. We lost because we didn't keep our promises. Well, okay, why and how didn't you keep your promises on some of those things? Still worried about reform, trying to think that they can, out Farage. All of these problems, they are not addressing the root cause of them, which is their ideology, their free market fundamentalist ideology that led them to where they are, to pursue Brexit with an absolute dogged determination to go to have the hardest Brexit possible. Even now, there are Conservative MPs who are still saying this is a be no Brexit. It's Brexit in name only, even though Boris Johnson pretty much delivered a very, very hard Brexit. They weren't prepared to throw to sacrifice Northern Ireland until it became really convenient to throw Northern Ireland under the bus. And well, shall we say the DUP under the bus, shall we say? Which Boris Johnson gladly did. So many things just gone on, and they've done, and all the scandals, the COVID stuff, the absolute clownish buffoonery that they've handled this job, the mistakes that they've made, the policy decisions that they have made, which has led to really, really bad outcomes for all kinds of things. The list goes on. Are they actually addressing any of that? No. And it's honestly so shocking. So shocking. But again, they don't want to tell the truth, that they are just have no interest in having a serious introspection on this. And instead of doing that, they are now having an argument about the 1922 committee election because, oh boy, this could, I think, escalate possibly further. If this ends up escalating, this could really end up with some big Tory infighting. So maybe the first opening salvo of the Civil War wasn't, Jerrick versus Badnoch or Suella or Badnoch versus Rishi. It was the battle for the 1922 committee. It sure seems like it's going to go that way. So before we do continue, though, please do remember to click on the like, share button, and of course down below there's the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link, there is the YouTube thank you button down below as well, and of course there's the Pony Club you can join as well. So as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way, and of course let's crack on then into this. So this comes from The Independent with the title of Tory MPs claim plot to stitch up leadership contest after 1922 vote controversy. So, furious Tory MPs have now claimed that there is a plot There's a plot afoot to determine who replaces Rishi Sunak after the controversy over the election of the new chair of the influential 1922 committee. Less than a week after losing the general election, the party is now involved in a very angry row over its internal elections. Tensions are running high as the 1922 committee of backbench MPs will decide the rules for the party's next leadership contest. So, obviously, as you can see, it's not just the next leadership contest. It has a lot of power. It is very, very influential. Very, very influential in a lot of things. So whoever ends up the leader of, or at least the chairman of the 1922 committee, has a lot of power and influence in the party, and that could determine a whole swathe of things going forward. So MPs have now claimed the election for the new chair of the committee was, quote, bent. And some have now likened it to the Nean Doris book, The Plot, which claimed that there was a secret internal push to oust Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. Wow. You know it's bad. You know it's bad when MPs are claiming that the election was rigged in some way. And it is as bad as the Dean Doris's book, The Plot. Is Dr. No returning? Is there a Dr. No back? Is he pulling the strings from behind the scenes? Who knows how long this anger is going to go on for, but I'll tell you what, if this really does end up building, then you could see some serious anger going on here. So the Shadow Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, was amongst those Tory MPs turned away from voting for the chair of the committee on Tuesday. Marc Francois, the former minister and chair of the European Research Group, was also unable to vote. Again, the fact that they are turning people away, like Jeremy Hunt gets turned away, Marc Francois gets turned away. So the election was bent, he said, as he left the room in the Palace of Westminster, saying, I think the 1922's level of competence has reached a new low. Some MPs were told in an email that they could vote between 5 and 6. However, when they arrived, they were told that the voting had closed at 5:30. Ooh. Oh, now that is sneaky. That is sneaky. This is really going to kick off. Really going to kick off. Oh. In the end, Tory MP Bob Blackman will now lead the influential committee, which is set to make the rules and the timetable for the next leadership contest. The East Harrow MP has now taken over from Graham Bradley, who was given a peerage by Mr. Sunak. The former Prime Minister then fired the starting pistol on the contest to replace him last week in the wake of the disastrous election results. He announced that he would step down, not immediately, but once the formal arrangements for replacing him were in place. And bear in mind, I think after that, he's gone. Like, oh, he's standing out and resigning. He's gone. He ain't sticking around to be an MP. I will be very surprised if he does. Very surprised if he does. So Mr. Blackman, who won 61 out of the 98 votes cast against the 37 for the North Cotswold MP, Godfrey Clifton Brown, but some Tory MPs claimed that he would have lost had everyone been able to vote. Gee, it's almost like, having election, or, when you see, sneaky stuff, going on in an election, that maybe you should look into these elections and find out what went wrong. If there was, maybe some form of, interference or things like that. I'm just saying, Marc Francois, Anyway, Marc Francois told The Independent, in 23 years of being an MP, I have never seen such a shambles like this, and on our first day back. The Tory Voluntary Party workers who then slog their guts out for 6 weeks to get re-elect their MPs, deserve far better than to see a flawed election for election of the 1922 committee, who, of course, will now critically oversee the leadership contest. We have had enough of these shenanigans in the previous parliament. We haven't learned, have we not? Have we learned nothing? No, you really haven't. You really haven't. And of course, here's the email. Here's the email saying, "Oh yeah, come and vote. Voting open from 5 till 6, closed at 5:30." Anyway, so this round now comes as thousands of Tory members have already signed a petition for a rule to give them more of a say. And that's something else worth mentioning, because they were really angry, of course, at the election of Rishi Sunak. And we saw that. We saw that the anger from like the non-parliamentary party. That, bear in mind, as I've said, there's going to be sort of two sort of fights going on simultaneously as the civil war happens. You're going to see stuff going on in the parliamentary party and then stuff going on in the non-parliamentary party, and a lot of that stuff is going to be just as brutal as what happens in the parliamentary party as well, if not, I think, even more intense. And trust me, what goes on in that side of the party will affect what goes on in the Westminster side of the party as well, and of course vice versa. So like I say, Tory civil war really heating up now, really heating up in quite a very serious way, because now we'll have to see, will there be any response to this? You've had all the Tory members saying, hey, we want to make sure we get a say. And of course, the last Tory leadership election, bear in mind, was one of the Tory MPs going, if we do not unite and get together, we're going to end up with Boris Johnson again. Because if it goes to the membership and it was, Rishi versus Johnson, the membership would have voted for Johnson again. Would have Johnson been able to save them from this disastrous defeat? I don't think so. I think it would have been even worse. Because there would have been Boris Johnson, and people, bear in mind, would have loved to have given Boris Johnson an even bigger kicking. Bear in mind, at the referendum, there were a lot of people who voted leave, not because of their feelings on the EU or anything like that, but they just wanted to give David Cameron a kicking. The scale of the Tory defeat could have been even worse. And the membership is now saying, we want a bigger say, but you are now seeing Tory MPs and other people in the Conservative Party actually realizing, maybe giving our membership, who is ever increasing in a really hard far right direction, giving them a say maybe isn't the best idea. So we'll have to see how this election goes. Will it even get, I wonder, to a members vote, or will we see what happened last time? And I'll tell you what, if the membership were annoyed last time at the election of Rishi Sunak, how annoyed are they going to be at being left out of this decision as well? That is going to have a lot of can of worms opened in that, I can tell you that. So it also comes as some MPs push for a rule change which would exclude members from voting on the leader, leaving the choice to members of Parliament. And bear in mind, the Parliament, or at least the members of Parliament, really decided right from the start they didn't want Liz Truss. But how did Liz Truss win? She won because of the membership vote. And I'd been saying that for quite a while. Look how popular she is in the non-parliamentary party because of all the votes on Conservative Home. Look at, once again, Conservative Home. Who's the most popular one? It's Kimmy Badenoch. Why now do you think there's MPs pushing for it not to go to a members vote? Because they think they can beat Kimmy Badenoch if it doesn't go to a membership vote. If it goes to a membership vote, Kimmy Badenoch might win. and then they'll have to deal with, you know, Kimmy Badnock as leader, knowing that she won't be the best leader. That's why I also think those leaks were done as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but I don't think this is the end of this 1922 committee kerfuffle. I expect to hear more from this maybe in the future. Maybe this is just an opening skirmish um, of this, or will it turn into a full blown battle? Who knows? We'll wait to find out. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.